Yeah.
So how is weather there? Okay. So welcome back to our US payroll learning journey. In this, the last sessions we have discussed like the concept of RICEP W in details, like the structure basically. And today session will be focusing on two types of RICEP W objects. One is we will not start with the reports. Report I will keep it last. And the
Okay.
more important one, the interface and conversion, today we will cover. Okay. And also I'll be giving you some examples like how it will go. Okay. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
So when I say interface, what do you understand, you, Jack? Like what comes to your mind when I say interface?
Interface is a connection
Mhm.
or communication between two different systems.
Yeah.
Maybe in the same system from two different modules
Mhm.
or two different different application.
Yes, yes. Your understanding is absolutely correct. So the definition part we've already discussed last time, like it can be time. So from a payroll specific, it can be from SAP to non-SAP system like time, benefits, any other modules. So in today's session, I'll be just giving a couple of examples and also like there can be many examples for interface, but I have highlighted which I have generally worked and most frequently asked. Okay, so those interfaces I'll be talking about. But when
Okay.
it comes to examples, there can be hundreds of examples. Okay, I can give.
Okay.
Okay, but I've just highlighted the main major one. Okay,
Okay.
so major one I will discuss with the ADP SAP. So you must have heard about ADP, right? Yeah.
Yes, Bill. Yeah.
So what happens in most of the organizations I have seen, suppose they are planning for outsourcing their payroll activities to some third party. Suppose they don't want to run your all the payroll activities to a service provider. Okay, so ADP is one of the leading service provider globally, and what they do. So I will just explain the diagram. Is the diagram clearly visible now for you?
Yeah. No, yeah, I can see it now.
So basically, whenever you are out planning to outsource your SAP payroll to some service provider like ADP, how is actually the process looks like? So the process you can see there is a two box. One is an SAP, another is ADP. Okay. In between, we do have something called PU12. Okay. Have you heard about PU12 anytime?
Yes.
Okay. So what happens? So you will be having some data in SAP format that will be given an input. Okay. And in the PU12, what you'll be doing, so basically the data, whatever in SAP format, you will be giving an input. There will be a particular sequence of the file, and that in the PU12, you'll be doing some kind of configuration and also some kind of can code, your ABAP also can code something. Then what it will do, it will convert that into ADP format. Okay. So that ADP format, once it is done from PU12, it will be exported to your send, it can be sent to the file of ADP. Okay. And
Okay.
in ADP, what will happen? So in ADP, they have a particular mechanism for running the payroll. Okay, once the payroll is processed inside the ADP, your suppose say your SAP is a FICO system. Okay, your finance system is in SAP. In that case, those payroll results will come back, and it will be your SAP will be import those results, and it will transfer to the FICO and all other kind of reporting, whatever you're doing. Okay, so this is just a simplified diagram, and the use case is here SAP payroll outsourcing with ADP. Okay, so like info type 8, everything will be maintained in your SAP, no doubt. But in that case, you will be just sending that file and you will be receiving the process payroll results. So this is suppose a business scenario. So what exactly, as a functional consultant, what will be your role? That comes to your mind, right? What exactly you have to do from a FS point of view, functional specification point of view. This business
Okay.
case, this is the input given by your business analyst, or in the BRD document is mentioned. Okay, so this is a simplified diagram. This diagram you can mention in your FS functional specification is a flow chart or any whatever you feel. Okay, it can in
Okay.
terms of flow chart or it get any Visio diagram, you can do that. Here, have you ever worked with Visio and previously?
See it again. I'm sorry.
Visio, have you ever worked? Microsoft Visio.
Visio now.
Okay, there's a tool actually. So like draw the process diagram and all. So you can use any of the process tool. Otherwise, you can simply flow chart. You can draw these things. Okay, so this is a concept. Now, as a functional consultant, what will be your role? That I will now going to So whatever elaborated, I have elaborated here, same things, how to write in effective way in the functional specification I have written here. Are you able to see those explanation here?
Yes.
So here just I have given a written example for France, but ignore that. It can be also applicable for US also. Okay. So like SAP interface, you can just write a simple explanation like it will be how the ADP interface will work and what is the requirement from a format. Okay, so this is a format and it will convert to a particular format. So this is I'm given an example. So this will be given by ADP, like ADP supports which format. So you just ignore this one. So like it will say in SAP format, this is a file and how ADP will be accepting that file in a particular format. Okay. So after doing that, what will happen? So like you can mention like after getting that information, the file will be encrypted and compressed and automatically sent to the ADP interface via the communication station. So there is this is how you will be effectively writing that logic. Okay. So as in your functional specification. Once it is done, what will happen? The formatted data can be used to perform the payroll run in the ADP interface. Okay, so inside your ADP payroll engine, okay, the payroll will be running and as per your encrypted or the compressed data. Once it is done, up to this it is clear, whatever I'm explaining here.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is actually art again. So whatever I have explained, how you will be writing. So your writing style can vary, but the meanings would be very clear and loud to the technical developer. Okay, so here just I've given overview. Okay, so now after this I will be coming to your document, like your functional specification document, which I have said how to translate, how to maintain these things in the document. Okay, so after writing this, now you can see I have mentioned like the payroll results obtained here in a new sequential file. It will be sent into SAP. It will send back. Then after it is done, your finance posting and whatever the reporting, whatever is required, your seamless integration will work this way. So this is an overview. So I have not given any technical very details about it, but from a functional, as a functional consultant, you should think of this way. So like the input, what is my input, what will happen inside the processing part, and what will be our output. Okay. So in any interface, the diagram plays an important role. Without diagram, you should not, for any interface, for other objects you may ignore, but for any interface, you should have a skill to draw the diagram, whatever your understanding between maybe you can take help from your the interface, the partner. Okay, so here ADP is our partner. Okay, so you can talk to them to understand. Are you getting my point?
Yes. Beside this specification, functional specification, what is my functional consultant role in this process?
Okay.
Between user and ABAP.
Yes. So basically, you will be acting as a bridge between your business user and your ABAP, as well as your vendor. Whenever I say vendor, it is the ADP, right?
Yes.
Yeah? So let's say again, it depends upon your project. It is not very much generic. I'll just given this example. Suppose say in the project, you are also responsible for vendor management. Okay, so here I have given an example of ADP. Okay, so maybe you are also dealing with you are responsible for vendor management. Then you have to talk to your Mercer. Suppose you are using Mercer tool. Suppose you are using benefit focus for benefit tools. And also suppose you are also responsible for any bank transfer file with the popular banks like Bank of America, Chase Bank, and JP Morgan. So all those cases, depending upon your bandwidth in the project and all. So as a functional consultant, your role is a kind of orchestrator. You are understanding, right? It's the orchestra, the orchestrator, how he collaborates with all people. So your role will be like that only. Okay. So you will not be going very deep technical, but you should be understanding both the language of the technical person like ABAP. You should be able to understand the language of the business user, and at the same time, you should be able to understand the language of your vendor. Okay, so all the languages should be a multilingual kind of thing. Yeah. So like you should understand everybody's language, and you should be also interpret them not only not understanding only is not important, like understanding, interpreting, and translating to their respective. Whenever you are speaking to the technical developer, you should speak in their language. Okay, so like suppose I am saying interface, so you should be talking about the T code. What is the T code? What is the field name? Okay, so you should talk to them in that particular language. Okay, so this is just an example. Any other questions do you have?
Yes, do the functional this automatic transfer between two systems or a manual?
Okay.
And,
okay, so
and from the end user point of view.
Okay, so whenever you are doing a simple testing, okay, so it can be done manually, okay, but over a period of time, let's say after testing is done, everything is success, then you can schedule it. Okay, so you can schedule the program, and automatically every day or every night, some certain time, the program will update those specific files. Okay, so you do not have to do it manually. But for the initial time, whenever you're testing in your quality environment and all, you should be able to do it manually as well. So both the functions are there. You can do that not only for ADP, for any other interfaces. Okay, so this is the thing, and also you can monitor time to time. Suppose due to some reason it is failed. So there are generally in a project, there are some analysts also there. Generally, those are also functional consultant. They can also given a responsibility to monitor these interfaces. Okay, so these are the things we have. Any other questions comes to mind?
Okay, regarding testing is you said quality server. The functional consultant has that access to permission to access the quality, or just testing it in UT, in development system. UT client.
This is a nice question. Generally, usually the testings are done exclusively in the quality environment, but generally the functional. Suppose you are a functional consultant, and also you have a team of say testing team, okay, who is responsible only for testing. Then in that case, what you can do in the development system, you can do a functional unit testing, FUT. The functional unit testing can do. Then you can leave it to the quality system, and you can ask your quality assurance team or the testing team who will be responsible for in-depth testing, end-to-end, all kind of testing, like your functional testing, in your integration testing, regression testing, all kind of testing they will be doing, and they will be coming back if any error is coming in that case. And also do not forget to involve vendor as well. Okay, this is very important one. Suppose
to involve what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You also involve vendor also. Vendor means your third party provider like ADP, Mercer. Okay, because they might be also testing. Suppose you have sent your understanding, so there can be file of whenever it comes to interface, you have a concept of inbound and outbound. Okay, so outbound file, there will be outbound file, and it will be an inbound file to the ADP. Then ADP, whether they have received it in proper format or not, it is you should ask the vendor also whether they are receiving it in proper format, or is there any error, or is there any delay in receiving that file. So those things you have to talk to the vendor, and they should be also able to test scrutinizingly. Everything they should be able to test very carefully. Okay? So you should also involve vendor also. Okay, whenever you're testing such kind of interfaces. And sometimes what happens, this kind of interfaces itself is a mini project, which goes around to say 1 month to 3 months, depending upon your complexity. Okay, so in a typical RISE-FW object, interfaces are the most complicated ones. Okay, so you have, for that reason, actually I focused more, and I started with this.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is clear, right? ADP, SAP, I just explained. This is how and what are the questions also I have answered. Okay. And similarly, same goes with your Mercer bank. So I will be giving a task for you, like you can what you can do. So I have just given options of what are the Mercer facility, what the Mercer can do. Okay, so they have a global benefit program. Okay, so there are different benefit plans which they can give. Okay, so you may do some kind of research whenever you are working in such kind of interface. Okay, so you can do such kind of research like Mercer, what is from a payroll point of view, what are the offering in the Mercer. Okay, so that at least before talking to the vendor, you should be having some fair idea. Okay, so this is how Mercer works, and you can share your thought with them. Then there will be some person from Mercer technical side. Okay, they will be talking to you. What are the questions you have? You can just jot down those questions and you can ask to them. Okay, then you start building, before building the interface, at least you should have at least 1 or 2 conversation with those specific vendor. Same goes with your bank also. Bank, because whenever you are transferring your bank file for salary and all, benefits and all, so you have to also, because different banks, they will be having their different format. Okay, so this is not very unique, and also it is not very much standardized. Okay, so this is here I have given 2 examples, but the number of banks, it can be anything. Okay, so specific to US. Okay, and same goes with your benefit focus. Okay, so benefit focus, again, it deals with the different types of benefits, like it can be your different COBRA participants, you're delivering different types of enrollment. Okay, because they do have their own specific need depending upon your need, and this is most popular in the benefit focus. Most of the projects I have worked in the benefit focus. Okay, but there are many such vendors as I was mentioning, and for such cases you have to build an interface between your SAP US payroll with the respective vendor. Is it clear now? Just
Yes.
there can be a number of examples. Okay, so it is, the list is endless. Now I'll be coming to the our document. How we will be presenting the document? Let me share that with you.
For support project.
Yes, for support.
Establish system. So for the average, how many requests we get from for interface specification?
Yes. Even if you're working in an interface a support project, there can be in support project, the scenario can be like I will say, so some interface for some data actually couldn't be extracted, and while that you are getting some error, then you should be able to analyze that the typical interface. So that can be one example, or it can be like suppose say in that interface you wanted some additional data to be added. Suppose after 2 years you have decided that no, this interface should also extract this data also. Okay, so at present, let's say you're extracting 20 different fields, but in 2022 you decided 2 more fields is required to be exported and imported. So in that case, small changes will be doing into the existing interface. Okay, so that can be also an example.
Okay.
Yeah. So now, are you able to see the FS? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So now, in this section 1.6, this is actually summarizes whatever its requirement from an interface. Okay. So in the first section is the interface type. Okay. So in this, what we're mentioning in our the example which I was giving, is what will be our inbound? Tell me. SAP ADP interface, which I told you.
Yes, and ADP to SAP.
Yes. So in our case, the inbound can be your SAP, and similarly the outbound is your ADP. Okay. So in this example, okay. So I'll just mentioning just a high level. Okay. So you can fill up as it is required. An interfacing system you can mention. Suppose in some cases people use Dell Boomi. Okay, that is a middleware. Have you heard about middleware?
Yes, but okay. It's still used Dell Boomi or?
No. At present, I'm just giving an example. But at present, SAP has its own middleware called CPI.
Yes, that's why I'm asking.
CPI. So this is the most popular. CPI is nothing but your cloud platform integrator. Okay. So previously it was called HCI, HANA Cloud Integrator. Now they have standardized the name. Okay. So cloud platform integrator. But again, it is up to the how we are using it and all. The next one is the frequency. So how frequently that is going to be, again, depending upon your discussions with the technical team and all that will be mentioning. Like, and fourth one is the batch frequency. Whether suppose there are say 1 lakh files, are you going to send all the 1 lakh file in at one time, or you are sending by 10,000 in each batch, and there is 10 batches? Okay, that also you have to decide. Means you have to discuss basically and how the feasibility and all. Then you have to check this box, whatever is required. Are you getting my point here?
Yes.
Yeah. So as a functional consultant, these are your job. Okay. So and similarly, any encryption decryption is required. Okay. Suppose in the European countries we do have a GDPR and other data sensitivity things are there. Okay. Suppose if there are any such cases, then that also you can mention. Okay. then how frequently it is really done weekly or monthly, that also you can mention. Expected volume, okay, so like it can be like 1 lakh data every week, okay, or 50,000 data, just an approximation, okay, just for that, okay, that you can mention here in the expected volume. Okay, so are you getting my point? So this is a summary sheet of an interface, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, next one is a configuration requirement. Suppose to build this interface, what are the different configuration requirement? And that you can do in the PU12 interface. So I'm just sharing that screen. Another slide, actually, I have done that. So this is a screen, if you can see, this is an interface toolbox. Okay. Can you see?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is a transition from your PU19. So in that, basically the interface toolbox, it will be having some different types of format. If you can see in the right hand side, there are different types of format like US text service outsourcing, time waste type outsourcing.
Those standard.
These are all standard. Also, you can have your, you can also create your custom one also. Okay. So after doing that, those detailed configuration, whatever you are doing, okay, that you are going to mention in the functional specification. Okay. So I'll be coming back to again to the FS. Those input you'll be providing here in the configuration requirement, whatever you have done. Okay. So once that is done, next section is a data mapping template. So this is an important one. I will just open this object. Let me, yeah. Data mapping is very important one. So this contains your summary of everything. So let me open the sheet. Let me know if you are able to see my worksheet.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So now here simply you have to mention the format details like functional spec and functional specific. Those details you will mentioning. In our case, sending system is your SAP and receiving system will be your ADP. This is for inbound. Similarly, for outbound, you can mention your ADP is the sending system, receiving system will be your SAP. For yeah. So after mentioning that, in the source system, like your SAP system, you can mention like screen, whatever the screen name, screen field, whatever the fields are there, all those details like what are the fields, okay, the table name, table field name, whatever, what is the length of that particular field, okay, all those details will be mentioning, and same is applicable for a target system also. So in our case, this information will be getting from ADP. ADP will be providing you this information, and this information will be filling after getting confirmation from ADP. Okay, so there is, for that you need to contact ADP technical person, this person. Okay, and after doing that, in the middle section, like that any kind of a transformation rules or mapping rules. Okay, so why it is required? Like suppose let's say you are having a particular field in your info type 8. Okay, so basic pay, that is a particular waste type is there. How it will be read in your info type in your, because ADP might be having same other name. Okay, so same field. So what is the transformation rule? Or it can be like rounding off. Suppose any kind of rounding off precision you are having. Okay, so all those details you can mention here. Okay, so this is just for technicality. And similarly, in the next one, if you see like the data type, length, everything in the layout, everything you can mention. And is there any comment section? You can mention those additional information. Okay, that will be helpful for your ABAP. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, so after understanding this, I will sharing you another thing here. Just let me go back to our functional specification. Yeah, so this is your data mapping template. Okay, so is there any questions in the data mapping template?
No, it's good.
Okay, so after that, some of the organizations, they will be having some kind of audit. This is an optional one, but if they're having some kind of audit requirement, those details you can mention in this particular 1.6.4 section. Okay, so this is a very clear understanding, like how if you're dealing, it is common for every interface, where whatever interface you will be working, these 4 things are common. Okay, so like interface summary, configuration requirement, data mapping template, and any kind of control or auditing requirement. Okay, so those details you'll be mentioning here. This is regarding the interface. Is it clear? Any questions or comments?
Yes, clear.
Yeah, okay. Then with that understanding, now we will be moving to the next object. Our next object is your conversion. Conversion itself,
One,
it's a,
I have one question before
please,
moving to conversion.
please.
Give me one example you faced in this last year. Example for interface specification. Just not example, the entire thing. Just what you did last year in interface.
Okay.
What change? What change? What is the changes? What is new interface you face in the last year?
Okay, okay.
Just one word.
Okay, so I will come to that. So basically, so what I will give you one example. Just me go back to the mind map only, then I will tell you what I did, because that is my strength. So without that tool, I can't explain anything. Yeah. So
Okay.
let's say I'm talking about the benefit focus which I have used. Okay.
Okay.
So what actually had done initially, what we had. So initially, whenever we implemented, we had only two plan. Okay. One was our vision. Another one was we had a dental plan. Okay. So now what they have done, so they have also extended some additional health saving benefits. Okay, HSA, something like that. We have an additional requirement. So previously we had, it was limited to vision and dental plan. After that, it got extended to your health saving, HEALTH, health saving plan, or we generally call it a HSA.
So this is new interface.
So basically what happened in the same interface,
New vendor, I think.
So no, in the same interface, like benefit focus only, initially we planned for implementing only the vision and dental, but latter point of time, and also initially we had 401k also. Okay, so in that we already had implemented that. Okay, but latter point of time, we decided we will not be going to the other vendor. Within the same vendor, we would like to extend this our scope of work to HSA, your health saving plan. Okay, so what we did basically after adding those doing some additional interface in the another mapping was required. Okay, so whatever the field mapping which I discussed you, right? So in that we have a specific field for in SAP also 167, 169. Those info type you must be aware of, right? 167,
yes.
169, and how to do those and kind of enrollment and all. So those things actually we done. Another thing I will tell you, another vendor which I have recently worked for, that is for not for on-premise payroll, that was for Employee Central Cloud Payroll. Okay, so that was a Aspire. So thanks for asking that question. I can explain that it is much more better because this one recently I have done. Okay, so I will tell you that.
Okay.
So this is an example for Aspire.
Ask before an interview, they ask you what you lost.
Yes. Aspire HR. Okay, so this is a tool. Aspire HR is another vendor. I will tell you also the Aspire HR. I will so that detail now I will be sharing. You'll be getting a seat directly from SAP store. Okay, so just like we do have Google Play Store, right? SAP has its own vendor store also. Okay, Aspire HR SAP. So I will tell you. So you can go through that. Yeah, this is the one. So I will just share you the screen. Are you able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
So if you go to store.sap.com, there are so many vendors are available, and it is very easy to understand even the pricing, features, everything. Okay. So there are very short videos also. It's very interactive. Like if you see, this is an Aspire HR Cloud Benefits. Okay. So very shortly they will be explaining how the things are done. Okay. So I think it is taking some time, but anyway, so the details information you'll be finding here. So what are the benefits, why you to use Aspire HR, and from your architecture point of view, suppose somebody is asking how we are going to implement. Okay, so those details also you'll be getting. So like also it will be giving input to your interface also. Okay, so like technical information, if you go there, okay, so there is a section called so this is your benefits voucher and cloud benefits, whatever the things are there. So you can go through details. It will be having plenty of information. So like
okay, that's good.
Yeah, so the cloud benefits, how it works in PC, how it works in your mobile interface. Okay, so solution overview, key benefits. Okay, and how this is a very important one. Okay, so this diagram you see. Okay, so what is included in the integration? Okay, suppose we are dealing with on-premise payroll. Okay, so then this is the first case. Are you getting the point?
Okay. Yes, I got
in that case, what will happen? You are having cloud benefits, and then it will be integrated to your. So you can see there is a layer called delivered integration.
Yes.
That means this is already pre-delivered. Only thing is you have to just plug in and certain kind of testing you have to do, and within few days, unlike how the complicated integrations, it can be done within few days. Actually, I have done the last one. Okay, the recently fully cloud implementation. So integration with your SAP S4 HANA to your success factor employee central payroll, the last one. Okay, cloud benefits, but the principle remains the same. Okay, whether you are doing it on-premise or you are doing it fully cloud. Okay, so there are plenty of documents. Okay, so how you can go through it. Okay, so what are the benefits? Okay, suppose the client interviewer will be asking why, because we are also having benefit module in SAP. What are the benefits after getting that vendor? Okay, so then you can explain these examples. Okay, so like comprehensive US Canadian benefit program coverage. What are the things? Automatic communication notifications. Okay, so those are actually very much easy to explain to those. So you just remember the vendor name, Aspire HR, which recently I have used, and same thing you can include in your FS also. Okay, functional specification. Okay, there are many such example, and so you just remember the vendor name and you just try to explain, elaborate those things in detail.
Okay.
Yeah, are you getting my point?
Yeah, that's enough for interview. Yes.
Yeah, that's enough. Yeah, that's enough. Yeah, more than enough. Yeah, to get. So this is a couple of examples. Any other questions do you have for interface?
Okay, that's a.
Yeah. So now we'll be moving to the conversion. Okay, so typical conversion, what happens? So again, there are many steps here when a typical conversion process. First of all, I'll discuss the how to define those requirement. Okay, so conversion, what you understand, Jack, by general?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
What do you understand? Suppose I'm saying somebody is saying I'm working for a HCM payroll conversion project. So what do you think he might be doing in that project?
If fresh is
Yes.
greenfield project, will be conversion data from legacy system to SAP system.
Yeah, true.
Or in the existing system like support project, conversion data from different from module to module from SAP system to another SAP system, or in or out, inbound or out.
Inbound or outbound. Yes, correct. So basically, you are absolutely correct. The strategy will be different for whether you are working for a greenfield project or you are working for a existing already implemented. You are working support project. The strategy will be different, but in terms of process and all, more or less, it is similar. But it is more hectic for a greenfield project because a lot of planning also you have to do, a lot of mapping, cleansing, data extraction. Even if you other projects also you do, but if it is a greenfield project, the activities itself, it's a project. So I have seen people working in saying conversion data migration project for say 3 to 4 months or 6 months. Sometimes it goes depending upon the volume of the data. So that's kind of data. So typical conversion process, if I talk about, so basically in the initial page, you have to I will just speak specific to payroll. So when you work for a payroll critical your conversion project, so the basic information, what are the things you will require? Mostly you will be required all this data, like your employee master, or sometimes we call it employee mini master, the bare minimum data it is required from SAP. Or if you're working for a non-SAP system, then you require what are the information required, like an info type 0, 1, 2, 7, 9. Okay, all those basic information you may require. Then your CTC structure, your cost to company or the base salary structure. Suppose you are going live in the middle of the financial year. Okay, sometimes you have heard about mid-year go live, right? Have you heard about?
No.
Mid-year go live means, suppose let's say you are going live in the month of say September. Okay, but your financial year is January to December. Okay, so what will happen? So from January to August, tax related data, how SAP will understand? So in those cases, your legacy data from your legacy system, whether you are using some other third-party legacy system previously, those tax related data or all the payroll related data, okay, you'll be capturing those, extracting those info data from the legacy system, and it will go as an input to the your SAP system, so that whenever you will be running your W2, W4, all year-end projects or year-end reports, everything, it will be in sync. Okay, so there will be no discrepancies or inconsistencies in those reports. Okay, so that is the requirement whenever you are going in mid-year go live. So typically, mid-year go live is a little tricky to play, but if you are going live from January's and like those years and all those months, then financial year beginning, then there is no challenges as such. But if you're going to say mid-year go lives and all, both your tax data and also the YTD balance, you're understanding what is a YTD balance?
Yes.
So
year to date,
exactly. So let's say the same example I will refer. Suppose you're going live in the month of September. Okay, so let's say from the month of January to August, whatever the compensation you have received, okay, so those details year to date, you can give an input to SAP system. Then those kind of data will be input, and you can process those data. Okay, so this is a typical example from a typical conversion project. It can be mid-year go live, or it is a fresh go live from the financial beginning. Okay, depending upon that, there is a slight change in the strategy. Okay, so that it will be helpful. So this is from a definition of the requirement. Okay, this is just specific to payroll, as I was explaining. Any question here?
No.
Okay. So then next one, I will be coming to the data mapping. So what we understand by data field mapping? Any understanding?
Data mapping is trying to make link or communication between two different data from two different systems, and try to adjust to have same field.
Correct.
I think so.
Yes. So basically, suppose because different tools or different vendors or different payroll softwares, they, even if they use the same concept, but their way of communicating or the way of presenting the same data, it can be different. Okay, suppose say I'm using some other system, third-party system, which says basic salary is presented as a by 4-letter BASC, but in SAP, let's say we are using the concept of wage type. In info type 8, we are using the wage type 1000. Okay, so in that case, you have to prepare a sheet. What are the things are called in your legacy system, and the same thing how these are presented in your SAP system. Okay, so that is as simple as the mapping. Okay, so this is an example I have given, like BASC. BASC can be the base salary in your legacy system, and your in SAP everything is a wage type, right? For all the payroll related components, or in SuccessFactors we call it pay component. Okay, so those things also, even actually I also, for that reason, I will just give an recent example. Whenever we are I was migrating, means implementing an Employee Central payroll project, we are migrating from your SAP on-premise to cloud payroll. In that case, again, I just prepared a list of wage types, and in SuccessFactors we call it pay component. Okay, so in another sheet, actually I made a column, the named pay components, and what are my pay component name. Okay, so I just did a mapping. The same principle.
I saw that in your video.
Yeah, you might have seen that. Yeah,
P2P, so P2P integration.
P2P point-to-point replication. Yeah, that's a very interesting one. Yeah, so that is the thing which I have done that. So this is regarding the data mapping. Okay, it looks simple, but as a functional consultant, you should have a thorough knowledge on this. Okay, so now next one is an interesting one. Generally, people struggle for it. Data cleansing. Okay, so when I say data cleansing, actually it is a responsibility of the customer. Okay, so I'm very clear here. Generally, the data owner, who is the data owner in a typical project, basically the customer. Okay, as a consultant or a functional consultant, your role is to guide them, okay, or to help them building those templates, all those things. But generally, you have to guide them how to cleanse those data, because something, if it goes wrong in your typical template or a file, let's say there is a comma, there is a space in between, okay, then it will always lead to an error. Okay, so you're getting my point, what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Okay, so the data should be always in a required format. So here actually two approaches here. like I'll be giving an example like aligning of client HR data values to the SAP requirement, because SAP's fields are very unique. Okay, so like as I was giving an example, like same example, we are having a same calling it a base in the legacy system. The same waste type we are calling it 1,000 waste types. Okay, so every data fields has a particular requirement, and it can be also like the amount should be this much. Okay, it should be presented in a decimal format. Dot after decimal there should be 2 values maximum. Okay, so those all format actually whenever receiving the file from the customer, you have to ensure those are properly cleaned. Now, you do not have to, as a consultant, it is not your job to clean. Sometimes we do to help them, but it is the actual responsibility of a customer. To you as a consultant, you have to guide them how to prepare those data as per the SAP need. Okay, you're getting my point. The first point you're getting.
Yes.
Yeah. Second field is not specific to payroll, but I will give an example here, like giving an example of address field, info type 6. Let's say in your legacy system, it was supporting maximum 80 character, let's say. Okay, but in your info type 6, you're having 3 lines we have. Okay, and if the address is suppose it is less than that, it is definitely SAP will accommodate that. But in case if your address is too long, let's say it is having some exceeding 3 lines, 4 lines. Okay, so then SAP may not capture all the information. It will whatever till number of characters is supporting up to 3 lines, it will accommodate that, and remaining things it may skip. Okay, suppose in that case what you have to do, you have to shorten your address details, or you have to, suppose if somebody is having a very big name. Okay, it's typically in India we have seen in South Indian part people have very long name, so in that case we have to shorten those. Example I just given, it came to my mind, which I did in 6 years back for our project. So we have to shorten that name of the particular person or particular address. Okay, so those can be also an example of a data cleansing activity, and it is a part of a conversion project. Okay, so this example is clear. It's not very specific to payroll, but it came to my mind. I thought of sharing.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is an example of a data cleansing. Next one is a data extraction. Okay, so how generally we extract the data? Suppose that again 2 types of extraction. It can be your master data extraction, and it can be your YTD data extraction. Okay? When I say master data extraction, it can be like generally, not generally, I will just say only the active employees we migrate, right? Suppose people who have already terminated or retirees, we skip them, right? Whenever we do not take them to the SAP system. So whenever you're extracting the master data, we have to focus on active employees. At the same time, also you have to see like those active employees who are there can be how to extract those data. Like there can be some kind of reports. Okay, so any software if you go, they will be having some kind of reporting mechanism in the inbuilt, and from that reports you have to extract those data. So basically it is again a customer's, you have to help the customer, and basically how in what format you require. Okay, so that extraction, the data extraction will happen, and the customer will be doing that activity. Okay, so because they must be aware of, or the third party vendor, they will be doing that extraction for you, and you need data in your format, the format which you will be sharing with the customer. You need that in your format. Okay, so this is again a responsibility of the master customer, but again you have to guide them what are the data you require. It may happen your customer or vendor, basically customer field, they will be having many such field which you may not require in your SAP. Okay, in that case again certain activities will go to the data cleansing. You can tell the customer that suppose there are 20 columns, out of that only 15 columns are essential for your payroll. Okay, so then you can tell only extract those 15 fields only. Okay, those remaining 5 fields you may not require. Okay, so this is again master data extraction. Similarly, same goes with your YTD data extraction also. Same goes with your these things. Any question regarding data extraction? There are many tools also available, but mostly in case of sophisticated project, okay, very highly complex, people are having crores of data point and all, then generally people use it. But for a simple project, I will recommend you can explain like the standard reports, because most of the vendors, customers, they do have standard reports to extract those data. Okay, that you can explain to the interviewer. You're getting my point?
I got it.
Any questions regarding this 4?
No.
Then the next 3 are little easy. data preparation and verification. So who will be responsible for data preparation? So basically, once your data is mapping is confirmed, basically it is a client will be sending the file in your whatever format you have sent to them. They will sending that file, and as a consultant or as a functional consultant, you have to verify whether everything is correct or not. Okay, the data file verification you can do. So then finally, data transfer and verification. Like here, what you can do, you have to use your BDC or LSMW, whatever program you're using. That generally in a typical implementation project, what happens? The initial load, or sometimes we call it, you must have heard about the cutover activities, right? This terminology you have heard?
Yes.
Cutover activities. So generally people prepare a cutover plan, okay, cutover activities, okay. So what generally we do, so in that case, you have to decide which the sequence, what are the sequence, different sequence of your data transfer, okay. So suppose the info type 1 should go first, then info type 2, info type, then other info types should go. That sequence you have to decide, okay. Accordingly, you have to transfer or use those programs. Then after that, what you will do, you have to ask the customers to do some kind of we call something sometimes called smoke testing. Okay, so like once it is loaded to the production system, you can ask customer to randomly check some data, okay, to just to verify, and finally you can download a report from the production environment if it is correct. So that will come under data validation step. Once it is done, then you have to take a sign off from the customer that the conversion is successful. Then that is completes your entire conversion process. Is it clear? So this is all about your conversion process. Okay. So once it is done, so now I will be coming back to your process, like this BDC LSMW I have already discussed. Now I'll be coming to the functional specs. What are the things you require?
Okay.
Okay. So I'll be giving an example of info type 8. Okay. So let me share with your screen example of a conversion. This is a typical example from a specific. This is not for US payroll. Also, wherever, whichever, all other countries also. Like info type 8 is a common for every country. You're understanding, right?
Yes.
Suppose, let's say, so this is a requirement which came, suppose a business. This is a typical structure of the salary. So like info type 8, okay. And after going through this, these are the field names for a typical your every partner and you know, right, how to get a field name of a typical.
I know that. Yes.
Okay, then so because let's just go to F4, sorry, F1. Then you have to go to technical information. Then you'll be getting the field details. Okay, this is an important skill also. Okay, for every functional consultant, in every field they should be able to talk the means to the developer, because developer will be speaking this language, right? And you will be speaking this language, whatever the field text it is mentioned. Both the business analyst as well as a as a functional consultant, this language will be actually spoken by the functional consultant, but a technical consultant, they will be dealing with this. They will always talk about the table name and field name. Okay, so nothing else. So in a typical functional specification, you must be having this particular table. Okay, this is an essential one for any conversion. I'm talking just given a simple example, info type 8. It can be any info type specific to payroll or any other modules in SAP HR. So whenever in any kind of conversion you are doing, so this is the must. Okay, so this is your must. Once you are having this, then as usual you'll be mentioning it is a conversion project type of development. Okay. Then here actually I have given a lot of explanation, but it is not required. Okay, like what is a BDC, what is this thing, not required. Then finally the process description you can mention as simple as that. See here, very simple. In a 4 sentence, actually I have completed this FS. Okay, so like if you see, info type 8 templates should be filled up. So this is a template which I will be opening shortly. Just a minute. This is your worksheet. I will just show you the worksheet. This is a worksheet for info type 8. Are you able to see my worksheet?
Yes.
And it is actually for template for every country, not for specific to US. Okay, so like you'll be having a fields like this: partner, begda, enda, that is the beginning date and end date, subtype, pay scale type, your pay scale area, working hours, pay scale group, level, currency, wage type, your amount, and the annual salary. So if you're having this kind of fields, and what are the different wage types, and what are the different values? Okay, so this kind of information you have to guide to the customer, like what are the possible values. You can give one example, the one I have given it, right? So you can fill up with one example and tell to the customer, this is how a typical sample looks like, and you have to fill up this for all of your existing employees. Okay? So it is there will be no problem like in explaining, right? Is there any challenges you are seeing here, Jack, whenever you are explaining to the customer?
This is for, do you mean with the business owner?
Yes, business owner.
You should fill this one, this template.
Yes, they should be able to fill this template. Maybe you can include a particular sheet here, like you can see this particular sheet, right? And then the sheet I have added here. Okay. So like here, I've also mentioned the table name, which I have also mentioned in the functional specification. So these are the different field text, and these are different field name. Okay. Okay. So this is also, you can give some sample examples, like what are the possible values of a, suppose we are talking about, say, pay scale group. Okay, so it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, like different groups will be there. So some sample examples you can mention for as a guideline principles. Okay, but whenever they are
similar to the success factor template.
Yeah. Similar to, not exactly. Basically, in success factor we have something called concept called workbook. Okay, but this template is for BDC. Okay, so when you are using base data communication, the program. If you're doing LSMW, it is not required. Directly you can write, and you can, as a functional consultant also you can do that. There's no problem.
Regarding the LSMW, this is the end user perform this importing and exporting data, not the functional consultant.
Yeah, correct. So basically what happens in a typical initial phase of implementation, generally I have seen, even I have done that. So we upload everything, but after giving a training, after the project is go live is done, on a typical day-to-day activities, and it is an operational activity. Suppose, let's say in the month of September 2021, there are some say 300 new joinees. Okay, so what you can do, so as a functional consultant, you can suppose you need some, the client needs some support, then you can support them. Otherwise, you can ask the customer that they will be preparing the sheet, and they can themselves upload these things information on in a typical support project. You may get such kind of request. Okay, so whether if there is any error, then they will be coming back to you. Then you can see. Then you have to ask the customer the sheet. This is the template, and you can identify that. Suppose this is my format, right? 01/01/2021 is there, but due to some reason I have this is not in a date format. In some other format is there. Okay, or some case in some cases you are finding, suppose some value is missing. Okay, there is some space or some kind of error is there, or in terms of RL08, suppose it is mentioned RL08 dot. Okay, then also it will give some error in the file.
Yes.
Okay. So you have to just do some kind of analysis. Suppose if there is in a support project, I'm telling, suppose the client tried to upload this template, field template in the BDC program, but he or she got some error. Then in those cases, you have to understand the template. That is the thing. But in a typical implementation project, in the initial load, generally it is done by the data migration consultant or functional consultant. Okay, depending upon the role. Okay, so you should be able to do that. So both the way you can help the customer in that way. Okay, so this is a simple template for info type 8 I have shared with you, and there can be many other templates which you can design as per your requirement, like your info type 7, info type 9, or any other US specific info types you would like to upload. Yes. The principle remains the same. Okay, so like as I have mentioned, the starting process will be info type 8 template should be filled up as attached in this particular section. It will be filled up by the client. Okay, filled up by the client. And similarly, the next step will be T code or the transaction code relevant for info type 8 BDC should be run. So who will be providing this transaction code? For this is a question for you.
I forgot.
Yeah. So what will generally, so this, because you are writing a functional specification, right? So this functional specification will go to the technical consultant, your ABAPer. After completing that program, ABAPer will be providing you a T code or a transaction code. Okay. So that T code will be mentioning to the customer, or you can also execute that T code. Whenever you are getting that T code, it is a simple report, like it will execute and it will ask to upload a file. Okay. So that is as simple as that. Okay. So after that, what you will do, you will just upload this particular file, whatever the file I have shown you, that field file received from the customer, or the customer they themselves also can upload by using that particular transaction code, which is generally the first structure, typical structure I have seen, like you can write your own name, like at your own convenience, like ZHCM underscore like IT000. This is just a typical convention I have told you.
Yeah, I remember now where I can.
Getting it right, yeah. Or it can be like ZHR or BDC, okay, IT08. So the programming name can be anything depending upon your naming convention of your organization. Okay. So it is just a simple example. Then after that, you have to, the BDC program also should be facilitate. If any error is happening, there should be a log. This is an important one. Generally, people do first step and second step, but it is also best practice to include a log. Okay, suppose due to some reason, say some 1,000 employees you are trying to upload, but only you identified that after upload program is completed, only some 80 employees are uploaded. Sorry, out of 100, say let's say 80 employees are uploaded, 20 employees are not uploaded. But it is very hard and difficult to analyze why those 20 employees are not uploaded, right? Isn't it? So
yes.
So as a best practice, so you should, as a functional consultant, you should ask your ABAP technical consultant, always maintain a error log. Whenever you're executing a program, after execution of the program, if any error is happening, after completion of the program, it should pop up like the way we get error log in payroll, right?
Yes,
if it is success, it is success. Okay. If it is not success, you should ask the customer ABAP, he should write an error log, and automatically, like you will be getting those kind of error log in the program. Okay. So it is very easy. Not they'll just write some programming in the logic. Okay. So after that, then it is easy for you as well as the customer. Okay. Suppose let's say while uploading the program, what happened? Like somebody has already logged into that particular employee. Suppose Jack is there and he is actually already logged into that employee. Then in that case, that data upload definitely will fail, right? Because somebody has already logged into that employee, and the data will not be updated that. Okay. In those cases, the system will say that this employee has been already used by so and so user. For that reason, data upload failed. Okay. So if it is, then it is easy for you to rectify them, isn't it? So after it is done, the last step is whatever the employees for whom we are getting the error, you will be solve those error as a customer or as a technical consultant, functional consultant. Okay. Then again, you have to repeat that process for those existing employees. Okay. And also you can write in program. Inside the program also you can suggest a logic to the ABAP that whenever you are uploading the files for the second time, persons were already uploaded, you just ignore them. Only those left employees or those 20 employees for whom there was an error, only those 20 you can filter. Okay. In that way also the ABAP can write the program. You have to just guide them how to write the best program in the logic. Okay. So this is also you are working as a mentor to the ABAP also. Okay. So this is also your role as a functional consultant. Okay. So these are the steps we have to follow in a typical conversion process, and logic and processing logic also I have given here, like analyze the error, correct the error. Okay. So this one also, and the next section is that it will be filled by the technical consultant. Okay. So this is not by you. So they will be writing those technical pseudo code, what are the flow chart they are using. Okay. They will be filled by the. Then last section, which is very important one, whenever you're doing the testing, okay, so what are the possible scenario for a conversion process? It can be also an interview question. Okay. So when how to test a typical conversion process. So like first testing scenario, it is a very simple one. You are having proper data, a proper format. Okay. So then the results should be uploaded successfully. Means there is no error. Okay. And what are the possible error? Those possible scenario I have given in the next 5 scenario. Like let's say the template which you are using, some of the columns are hidden. Okay, due to some reason. Okay. So then in that case, definitely you'll be getting an error. Okay. And similarly, the column got swapped. Okay, suppose you have given a template. The first column should be the employee ID, second column should be the employee name. But whenever you're preparing the data, the column got swapped due to some reason again. And whenever you're uploading, the data mapping will be again incorrect whenever you are reading the program, then definitely you'll be getting error. So here I have given multiple scenarios of your in which cases you can get error. Okay, so like also suppose you are working in a particular payroll area, but you are trying to upload data from another payroll area and which you are not authorized to. Okay, so in those cases you'll be getting authorization error. These are some possible scenarios which I have given, and you should think of more and more if it's possible. Okay, so in those scenarios you'll be sharing with the customer, and also whenever you are doing the testing, you should test everything. Okay, then you send it to the customer for testing. Okay, so this is from a testing point of view I have explained here. Okay, is it clear?
Yeah, clear.
Yeah. So this completes for today's session. I'll just quickly summarize whatever we have covered today. So basically we focused on two major or important objects how from as a functional consultant, like you should know the concept of interface and how are the different types of interface and what are the different types of some examples which I've given. The more specific focus on the ADP part, and Aspire HR I just talked about it. And this is regarding your interface which I explained today. Then I also talked about the conversion part. Mostly I spoke about BDC part, because BDC is most important one whenever you're doing any kind of, whether it is your greenfield projects or an ongoing projects. Okay, and LSMW, it is for a functional consultant. It's not that much difficult, but in both cases the process understanding, and this process understanding will help you not only in your HR projects or payroll projects, or any projects wherever we are working from as a functional consultant. Okay, it's not very specific to payroll, whether you are doing a success factor migration or conversion, or you are doing a Workday conversion from payroll, SAP, any conversion, the steps, these are the common steps generally we follow. Okay, so you can explain very nicely whatever the 7 steps I have explained here, 7 or 6 steps basically. Okay, that detail you can explain to the interviewer. Okay. So these are the 2 things we have seen today. Tomorrow we will be covering the remaining part. Enhancement I'll be focusing on, because this is also a major area in a typical implementation project. Okay, so enhancement, and remaining 2, 3 is a little easy, and that will not take much time. The forms, workflow, reports. Okay, then we will be moving to the other topics. Any questions, expectations, or any feedback?
No, I have interview within 1 hour now. As I applied for job HCM application analyst.